Welcome to the Joe Show. Here on the Joe Show today is a different Joe Show. We have a different special artist, a guest here on radio, and his name is Zane. Zane, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Joe?
I'm doing great. So coming up, we have a bunch of questions we're going to ask Zane, and he's going to be telling us all about all the stuff he's involved on campus and just, where he's going in the future and what you're doing, all the cool stuff you're working on. So Zane,
Okay.
Where are you from?
All right. This is a loaded question. So I have grown up in Cedarburg, Wisconsin. That's 30 minutes north of Milwaukee. That's what I tell everybody. But when I was like, I don't know, up to around 4 years old, I lived in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, the capital. It was pretty neat. I remember little to nothing about it, but I did make a whole entire nonfiction piece all about it. So I hope to go back there one day to kind of capture the beauty of how the Southwest outbacks are. Not enough people talk about that. So
wow. So what brings you to Wisconsin, to Green Bay here?
The abundance of family. That's what I was told, at least. There's a lot of Petries up in the Midwest, so I guess I'm stuck here instead of Florida, where the rest of us are.
Yeah.
At first, I didn't really think much of it because I was a child. I didn't really have a way to. Well, I couldn't just move out on my own at 5 years old. Let's be honest. I kind of grew up thinking I always really was a Wisconsinite, even though I was not. And when I was about 7 years old, I kind of figured it out. Oh, yeah, okay. When I was 7, we did a road trip down to Arizona to visit my grandmother, who was still around at the time. And then the whole news was dropped. Oh, yeah, Zane, by the way, you're an Arizonite. I'm like, that makes me like the wild card of the household. My parents, they both went to Arizona State for journalism and English, so they're familiar with the state. I believe they met there. They don't really like to tell that story because they hate talking about themselves too. So I guess it runs in the family, eh?
Yeah, I mean, we'll be talking a lot about you here.
Oh boy!
I hope you enjoy that.
I'm in the right place, aren't I?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much where I'm from. Let me describe Cedarburg for y'all because I kind of dashed past that point about me. I would describe Cedarburg as an oversized retirement home full of a lot of old folk. No offense to any Cedarburg listeners out there, by the way. I highly doubt anyone from Cedarburg knows about Radio GVX, but maybe they'll come across this one day. I don't know. But the other thing I say about Cedarburg is on the left side of Main Street, there are a lot of coffee shops. On the right side, there's a lot of bars. So, depending on the time of day, Cedarburg has something going on. You just have to be either 9 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock at night. There's no between.
You're a morning person, night person. Yeah. Something for you.
So there's a little something about that. If you don't like coffee or beer, you're kind of out of luck. So, yeah, that's what it was like growing up. We had a bowling alley and all that. A park I always frequented with my buddies back in the day. But other than that, it's a pretty nice town to grow up in. I give it a lot of slack, but I think that's because I was bored. So.
Okay. So, you're an artist, local artist, but you're not the traditional artist that have in the show. So what kind of artist, what kind of stuff do you do?
I study and write literature. That's my thing. I write a plethora of things. I'm a creative writer, which is what I believe to be the first creative writer on the Joe Show. I am very honored. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
What I primarily write is fiction. I like short stories. That's kind of the thing I've been good at so far. Though, when it comes to living by doing literature, I do have to pursue other things. I've been good at copy editing. I'm the chief copy editor for the Sheepshead Review Journal here on campus. That's one of my latest perks of being me, I guess. So I have that journal is going to be coming out May 1st, by the way. So I'm not in the journal like creatively though. I was so close, but by the time this will come out, yeah. As of yeah, but as of copy editing, I made sure that journal was squeaky clean. And so did the other pro staffs. Shout out to Ethan Kraft and Nicole Johnson, both wonderful people to work with for copy editing. But as far as literature and the arts go, not many people think about how much thought has to be put into writing. It sounds like a basic everyday task, and if you said that to me, you'd be right. We text on our phones. We write little notes like grocery shopping lists and all that. Which that's all just like stuff we do in our lives. We just put it on paper. We don't even think about it. But when the time comes where we do have to think about it and do have to structure it in a certain way, we could just sit there on a blank canvas or a blank screen, just waiting for an idea to hit. And it takes a lot of effort to really put that first word down. But once you got that idea flowing from your head, once the idea warps onto the paper, it just transforms into something great. It could be either being a writer can mean a lot of things. It could be a script writer, a movie writer, or just a book author, or something like that as well. So a blank page can transform into anything, and that's why I really enjoy it.
Yeah, and that's like the beauty of art. I mean, like
Yes.
just taking something and then getting inspired, and then just making something out of you know what inspires you and what you're passionate about.
Yeah. There's a book I read by an author. I'm taking this capstone course with Professor Jonas Garsby. His feature is on major authors, and we are doing a big thing on Annie Dillard. I just posed with a bunch of Annie Dillard books in front of the Radio GBX sign not too long ago. And one of them is the Writing Life. That's one of the books we read. It's jam-packed full of writing info and just knowledge that's been passed down from Annie Dillard, who's still alive, by the way. Amazing person. I went into the course thinking that wasn't gonna like this lady, but she's great. She's great, and I have to thank Joseph Garsby for introducing her to all of us. I accidentally knocked the mic there. My bad. But one of the best things I ever gotten from that book was to just write down your ideas. The longer you hold on to an idea, the further from the vision you'll be. You might think you're hanging on to an idea that's great, but it doesn't apply for now. But it could be gone the next day. You could wake up and you could be thinking about something completely new. A current event might happen the next day, and you just don't know it yet. And yeah, it's just you don't know what's coming next, so you might as well just put your best down every day, so you have a lot of bests to go back to. So I read this, and this is like the Zane version of Annie Dillard's writing here. So it's not quoted word for word. I could totally bring out some quotations later in the show here, but yeah. So the way I went about taking this advice was I started putting together a real ideas vault, or a portfolio, as the real artist would call it, and I would just put things in there. Whether it's one sentence or a 10-page short story or something like that. And I just put my best down every so often, just so I have something to fall back to. Maybe an idea doesn't sit right now, but if I have it like physically, either on my computer's hard drive or in my notebook, which I have yet to really come back to, it's kind of like a time capsule, that old thing. But as long as it's somewhere, I can confidently forget it, so I can, or at least keep it in the back of my mind, so the full idea will come back to me if I just keep it physically somewhere. And then that makes room for new things. So maybe a great thing could be coming up, and if I keep hanging on to this one thing, I probably won't reach that whole new best thing. So that's how to kind of That's one of my favorite pieces of advice I've really picked up from Andy Dillard. So
yeah, that's a really cool piece of advice. I mean, just to like, take something and hold on to like that. And I mean, then just like even use that for everyday, stuff you use just for like, remembering things.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Every idea we have, it's like, especially just for people of the arts in general, ideas could be the next big thing. We don't know it until we see how other people really perceive it, or maybe how we perceive it in general too. We just don't know it until we apply it. So that's just something that I have come to realize, and I hope a lot more people put themselves out there more. I can't tell you how many times I've been on this campus and people have amazing ideas, whether it's in a workshop or in a just, or they're showing me like their musical number that they're coming up with, and then they're like, then I ask them, are you going to share this at an open mic? This is great, right? And they're like, no, 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 oh no, I'm not going to do this. And I'm like, what? Why not? This is amazing. And we had this back and forth with so many of my peers, and I can't force people to go on the stage. I can't take their work either, because that's just completely wrong. But I guess I just have this jealousy, like, A, why didn't I come up with that? And B, why not? Like, I wish people were more comfortable with like sharing with each other, but that's just a trial that we all have to like either come to terms with. Either we want to share things or we don't, and that's just something that I'm glad I'm finally starting to get a grasp on. There's some things that won't see the light of day from my writing as well. That's my thing. So I'm slightly a hypocrite when I talk about it, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many great things happening on campus everywhere, and it's so good to have like opportunities like this, the radio, open mic night, just ways for people just to get out and share the work they've done with everyone else, and like everyone has the moment where they're able to share that and like show everyone else all the hard work they've done. But having those opportunities that also is really good to have. Just so when people are ready, they can show up else.
Yeah. And speaking of, we have a pretty busy weekend, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
Coming up. Starting right off, we do have the Celebration of Thought and Beauty, which is held by Sigma Tau Delta, which is not a fraternity, might I add. It is English Honor Society. I think if I remember correctly, the branch name is specifically Alpha Lambda Iota, which is a lot of Greek stuff. But again, we're not a part of the frat or sorority life here. As much as we want to be, we don't really want to be. Let's be honest. They can do their thing, we can do ours. I'm gonna get back on track. We're doing this event. It's an open mic night, kind of like what Joe was talking about. It's our big thing that we do biannually. Pretty much what the Celebration of Thought and Beauty is we have people sign up ahead of time throughout the entire semester to share their art, showcase what they want to do. We give them that stage, that platform that they might not have where they come from, and that it's just amazing. I was able to oversee at least 6 or 7 of these events so far, and this semester will be my last. Boohoo, I know, but yeah, I'm excited for this Friday because, well, I'm gonna be able to see how people are gonna share. I know we had some artists from around that were probably on the show. I think I remember seeing Aiden sign up. So shout out to A-Train. Love your music, man. Keep going. So he's gonna do a couple songs for us, and yeah, just in case you weren't aware, we're still taking signups. As much as I want to say that the queue is completed, it's still open. We have an hour of like open mic time right after. The event is held in the University Union on the Green Bay campus. Things rooms A and B, I believe. Yeah. And our show starts at 6:00. But to any performers that might be listening, we do want our performers to come a little early, just to verify, hey, I'm here. But yeah, there's that. And Joe, I remember you talking about the music festival being that same weekend. Is that right?
Yeah, that's actually Saturday, the day after. Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of busy stuff happened that weekend. I mean, so there's gonna be a range of performances for the Thought and Beauty Fest. So definitely come there and check that out.
Mhm.
Come there and support people wanting to share some of the artwork. Definitely check that out. And the day after, we're gonna also have a lot of different performances from local artists' music here on campus, and that's also gonna be performing them through Radio GBX. You'll be hearing a lot of their music there, and then you can come see them live right here in the Union, in the Coffee House, the Phoenix Club, and the Phoenix Rooms.
All right.
So,
Yeah. It sounds like
stay tuned for a lot coming up this weekend.
Yeah, it sounds like a really like the Green Bay version of Summerfest, only without all the beer. Oh well.
I mean, a lot of different like artists want to share all different kinds of work this weekend. So definitely come there and check that out.
I believe just the Hubcap is going to be here,
Yep.
right?
Just the Hubcap will be here.
Yeah, they were also on the show, right?
Yep.
Wow. I'm following everyone. I know our stuff.
So Electricity is going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. We're excited. I'm gonna show up for a lot of these shows. I know that. I hope I can make it to all these, but like the whole like the open mic aspect that this campus is having, it's been a trend lately, especially with the arts students. They've been doing a lot of good work to make sure that this campus still has an open stage. So I really appreciate all these opportunities, and I'm glad to be able to be a part of these as well. But yeah, Celebration Thought and Beauty and the Music Festival. Let's hear for that.
Yeah. So Zane, like, tell me about your major. You're graduating soon. Like, what are you graduating for?
Right, you're right. So I am a double major. I major in the BFA Writing and Applied Arts with an emphasis in game writing. I'll get right back to that. And English with the emphasis on creative writing, which is pretty much what I talked about prior. So the game writing degree is very, well, I don't want to call it new because it's almost a decade old at this point, but it's the newest branch. It just recently got reworked. Thankfully, the great Dr. Meacham, she was able to let me keep the old program so I wouldn't have to redo my entire degree. So that's good. What the degree entails, a lot of workshops. I've learned all about the literature in video games and board games and ARGs and all that stuff. There's lots of story behind it. A lot of people don't really understand it. When people think video games, they say, "Oh, Fortnite or Mario Kart or, what else is popular nowadays? I know Helldivers is pretty popular, right? And Lethal Company. Now, those are games, and sure, there's some story written in there. I know there's a whole thing about lore in Fortnite. I never really dove into that, if you catch my little pun there. But what my game writing degree pretty much does is it teaches us how to write stories in different ways than the ways I was talking about earlier. For example, one of the best ways to tell stories is to have people like interact with it almost. A book, you can have people interact with like the pages, like turning the pages. Now there are special types of books called Choose Your Adventure books. I know there's a lot of them in those old libraries. Do people even go to libraries anymore? I hope they do. A lot of them are written in the second person tense, like you, your, that kind of tense. And that itself can be considered a game. Like every choice you make, it's like, oh, you are said to have been in a dungeon, and you must go either the left path or the right path. Go to page 4 for the left. Go to page 75 for the right. And now that can be considered a game because there's like user input, and the whole layer of interactivity is what we kind of learned about in our degree, and that could be translated into a tabletop RPG, like for instance, Dungeons and Dragons. We actually have a show for that here on the Radio GBX on Mondays. We start from 8 and go to 9.
Yep.
So we have that, and that's very interactive. there's a lot of game playing and storytelling elements in that, and we learn all about that. One of the opportunities I was able to pursue in my last year of being a BFA major was the Center for Games and Interactive Media, which is run by Dr. Julie Case and Dr. Christopher Williams, both wonderful people. There's also Dr. Brian Carr and Dr. Christopher Brzezicki as well, who are also directors. But the two that brought me on were Dr. Case and Dr. Williams. And what they have really shown me was, that opportunity brought me a whole lot of experiences, like the Global Game Jam. That was one of the biggest ones I did near the beginning of this year, 2024. Green Bay has a game jam almost every year, which is run by Ben Geisler and Christopher Brzezicki. What a game jam is, pretty much, I'm going to describe it in the most bare bones way possible. You show up to the convention center that is chosen. A lot of other people do. You bring your toolkit. For instance, I'm a writer, so I bring my brain and my wit and my humorous writing style. And I collaborate with other people that might be computer programmers or artists or anything in between. And we just pitch ideas to each other until, hey, we got common ground. Let's make a game out of it. And we spend the next 78 hours straight making a game. The game I made was with a couple of great gentlemen. None of them were writers, but I was. They were all computer programmers. I let them do their thing while they told me, hey, write some Russian stereotypical humor. I'm like, okay. So essentially what I wrote in that game jam was stereotypical Russian Kirby, like the Nintendo Kirby. And what they did was they made this like red slime character platforming game. You can find this on the Game Jam website, by the way. Just search up Green Bay Global Game Jam, and you should probably find it. And honestly, yeah, I can't say I would have ever thought of Russian Kirby if I didn't go to this game jam. Our game was called Rust, and it is far from finished. That's the number one rule about game jam. You don't finish your game. You just work with people, and maybe it'll become something great. Maybe it'll be a good concept. And even if it's not, there are plenty of great minds there. There are professionals mixed in with very new fledglings to the game writing and developing experience, and it's a great way to make connections as well. That's what really kicked off my mentality of, okay, I have to start reaching outwards and putting myself out there for other people to see me. And that was a great way to do that. So, game writing and the CGIM, the Center for Games and Interactive Media. I don't know if I said that out, the whole name, but it's a brand new internship experience here at Green Bay. I'm finishing up my semester with another intern. His name is Jacob Flood. Really funny guy.
Oh, yeah.
I love the guy.
He's also on the D&D show.
He is. Yeah, I believe he's playing a slime character. What is it with Center for Games and Interactive Media and slime right now? That's I swear that's not typically where we go. Nickelodeon. Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, that's pretty much what the game writing degree is all about. I'm pretty sure I'm one of the last, if not. I know Jacob's also doing the game writing degree, so he might be the last one to go with the old degree. But then again, he's taking the newer classes, so I'm not sure if he's doing it for opportunity's sake or. We'll have to ask him on that one. But yeah, we're some of the last ones on the old program. They're bringing in all this like new stuff for the writing and applied arts program, which I wish was around when I started. There's this new course taught by Dr. Julie Case. It's going to be ethics in writing, and that's very important, especially nowadays with the rise of so many unethical ways in doing writing, like the ChatGPT writing, and just exposing everyone's secrets through nonfiction. That's a big one, by the way. You can't just go bad mouthing everybody on. I mean, you can, but you also need to know, like, you possibly can, but people might not want to publish you if you do that. So, just a word of caution. Maybe don't. And, or exercise caution with that. But there's a whole course on ethics, and I feel like I only scratched the surface. If anything, I bet any of the professors who are listening right now, they would shudder and be like, we're taking this guy's degree away, and he's going to take ethics and writing right now. But I like to think I'm pretty ethical when I write my stories. So
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a couple random questions for you, quick that I just thought of. So, while we're on the talk about some of your classes, like, what's your favorite class that you've ever taken here before you graduate?
My favorite class. All right. So last spring with Dr. Case, I took topics in game writing. Pretty much, it opened up. It wasn't just all right. Well, let me start from square one and talk about the course. So what the course is it had an emphasis on video game storytelling. That was like its emphasis. Every year there's a new emphasis in topics in game writing or topics in writing, and Dr. Case's typical approach to writing is game writing. That's her thing, and honestly, amazing emphasis to have. Not many creative minds really have that in the professional world, so that's amazing. It's amazing how we have both Dr. Case and Dr. Williams to think like that. So that course is all about video game writing, and pretty much the classwork for that class was you gotta play a video game as you're reading. So we played Valiant Hearts for one of them, and the Stanley Parable, classics like that. And we just talked about how they told this story in that game, and we had like an open discussion almost every class. And I kid you not, that class was full every day. Nobody really dropped it. Maybe the first couple of days people kind of like shuffled up because that's typically how it is on the college campus. But all the seats were pretty much full. I never seen that in a college course since then or before that. And I don't know what it was. That course was amazing. You got to play video games as homework, Joe. I mean,
yeah, that sounds great to me.
Yeah. So, and one of my favorite parts of that course, if I may talk about it just a little longer, was the presentation part. What Dr. Case had us do was she had us make these presentations on our favorite games, and tell us why exactly they are our favorites and what kind of game they were. How did they tell a story? How was it good? And I did my presentation on a game called Deep Rock Galactic. It's about space and dwarves and mining in space and killing bugs, all that good stuff. Have you ever played it?
I've heard of it. I haven't played it.
It's amazing. I'm gonna have to show you later.
Okay.
But I got to geek out in front of everybody, and so did everyone else. Everyone brought their own game to show. People brought in Minecraft. People brought in the infamous app called BitLife. I think it is. I think somebody did one on The Sims and Mario Tennis. That was one I remember. Fire Emblem. That was a big one. So everyone got to like geek out on their niche. I think that's just something that we gotta do more. It's like show and tell, but for a room full of adults. And oh my god, I was geeking out every day. I was like, oh, I can't wait to see what so-and-so brings in. Oh my gosh. And we just we listen to everybody and we talk about our favorite things. That slaps. So favorite course, English 310 with Dr. Case. Amazing.
Awesome. Well, I guess we're talking like, your major and stuff too. So what do you plan to do after your double major? You're gonna graduate here soon?
Yeah.
Any plans?
So I graduate in less than a month, which is actually no. I think it's the 11th. So almost over a month. So that's a scary thought, isn't it? So
also exciting though.
Yeah, it's very exciting. My plan is up in the air. So during my time with the Sheepshead Review, and the teaching press in general and all that good stuff. The past academic year, I've noticed that I was pretty good at doing more professional proofreading and copy editing. And I can't but to be inspired by my peers as well, who were also really good at it. And I was told, hey, this stuff slaps. You're good at proofreading. I'm like, oh really? Me? And like, yeah, you. I'm like, okay. Um, so most of my LinkedIn searches have to do with proofreading right now and copy editing. A lot of people are looking for that. And if that's the way that a creative writer has to take to survive, then so be it. I know that the starving artist is not exactly viable with how housing costs are nowadays. It might have been a good thing in like the 60s, 70s or something. The starving artist was like everybody, but well, not everybody, but everyone we heard of, right? But I don't think I'm gonna go the starving artist route. I think I'm gonna go more of I'm gonna do creative writing on the side, maybe submit to a couple literary journals while I work for a company that really does need a copy editor, somebody that needs a Zane, yeah, to work for them. And I'm hoping for like a good working atmosphere when it comes to that too. I'm not just looking for a corporate job, but I am looking to be a little boring. So, as nice as a freelance author sounds as like a main gig, I don't think that's gonna happen for a while. My writing is a bit of an acquired taste, is what that's what my peers tell me. So, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think like one day you eventually can you're gonna make it where you can do as a full time thing.
I hope
Like,
so.
yeah, like then keep doing it
Yeah,
on the side, keep working on your craft.
yeah, I hope so. I know there's so many good minds. I talked about it earlier. There are so many good minds. I wish they would share this stuff more. I can't force them to, but I know they're gonna be good. I know. So I could fill a whole hour of the show with names that I've just come across that they're just good at what they do. And I wish I was them. Because if I were them, then I'd be a bestseller by then. I really want to put my stuff out there, but I feel like my best is not exactly what people are looking for, which is why I'm putting things together in like portfolios. Speaking of portfolio, one of the main things of graduating as a BFA writing major is it's kind of like a hidden detail. As much as they try not to make it that way, they have. uh, they pretty much do this finalized portfolio thing that we all have to do. I believe it's like a good amount of pages, I think 40,000 words of writing, right? And I might be a little, honestly, I don't know if it is 40,000 now I'm thinking about it, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was. It's been a while since I looked at the document because I'm kind of like, I will let that burn me down later, you know? Uh, I like to get things done, but not right away. Not right away. So I'll have to submit that by the 21st of April. That's coming up. That's 11 days away.
Yeah, gotta start thinking of something.
Yeah. The excerpt
But
I'll probably share with you guys in a bit will be a part of it. So that'll be good.
okay,
So, yeah.
yeah, we have Zane here on the Joe Show with us. How you doing, Zane?
Oh, just as good as the other couple times. Ready to do another round of this. Let's go. Let's
That's
go.
great. So I have some more questions. So you were talking about some more of the stuff you're involved in, and something else that you tell me you're involved in is the printing press and stuff you've been doing with that.
Yes. The the University of Wisconsin Bay Teaching Press. We love it there. It's currently situated in the STEM Center, which is owned by Grant County, and unfortunately, we are being kicked out of there. But we are moving to the theater hall, the room right next to one of those like board meeting rooms. It's gonna be nice though. We're gonna actually be seen by English majors and writing majors, and the teaching press won't be that like vague rogue thing on the side of the road that we always kind of appear to be. By the way, we do some really good projects at the teaching press. One of our main ones that I think is probably our most I want to say our most like received project lately was it was among American book called A Portrait of Grief and Courage Among Oral Histories and Folktales, which is by Sandra Shackelford, and it was translated and transcribed by Ma Lee Lore, and it has an introduction by Powell Lore. And we launched this book in December of 2023, right before our half of our department has graduated. And honestly, it was probably one of our best events. We held it in the archives of the 7th floor UWGB library. It was incredible. There was a news story on it. We had the author there. She told stories upon stories. I almost loved the tears because of how sweet it was in there. And to know that we were able to like publish this book for people to be able to learn these stories of just the Hmong culture, it was wonderful. I was glad to be a part of it. Though with technology in play, there are a couple of comedic parts of that experience. If you look onto the Writing and Applied Arts YouTube channel for Green Bay, there is, or we did coverage of this event, but we used something called an owl camera. Do you know what an owl camera is, Joe?
I've heard of it.
Okay.
It's like the other way. You can explain it.
It is a 360 camera that captures an entire room. There's many aspects of this event. There were the people in the front. There was an actual like portrait done by the author there, and it was going to be shown like unrevealed. It was great in person, not so much online. I will get to that part though, and that's why we elected to have a 360 camera, right? So if you go on the Writing and Applied Arts YouTube channel, instead of seeing the event coverage, you can still hear it, but instead of seeing it, I was working with the camera, and the camera really liked my forehead. So there is an hour and 30 minutes of Zane Petrie's forehead on the Writing and Applied Arts YouTube channel. And that is my Green Bay legacy of the fall semester. I do not blame anybody but myself for sitting so close to it, but I also now hate owl cameras. So that is my legacy. But I going back to the point of the teaching press, we were able to launch this title, and we were able to copy edit and make sure all these Hmong stories were exactly what they wanted it to be. When it comes to copy editing, part of what makes copy editing really important is sure we try to make things grammatically correct and to fit with the voice of the entire piece. But what's important is the voice of the writer is still intact. That's why they're being published. They got it through the editing phase. They had a publisher give them the okay, we're gonna publish you. Great. But if we have copy editors that just change things to make them sound better, that's not the original voice now, is it? So we had our entire teaching press class carefully work with the words on all of throughout the entire book. And there were among wording and translations that didn't quite line up with how English would be. We wanted it to be accessible to both Hmong and English. So, and I would argue that we did a pretty darn good job on that book. I was not a part of it for the entire time, but I will give a shout out to Emily Healing and Catherine Halfman I believe that's how to pronounce their names. I'm just saying these off the top of my head. They were a part of that story for a long time. They did all these interviews and outreach. And of course, Dr. Rebecca Meacham made this happen as well. And to have this happen, to have this book be launched off of our Green Bay teaching press and host a launch party and just have all these reunions with people and to be the center of that was an honor. And I don't think I'd ever get something so honorable like that in my life. But here we are, right?
That's awesome. Yeah, doing it right before you graduate.
Yeah.
You're part of something like that.
I was so like surprised to see that we got to fit not one, not two, but 3 book launches like that in one semester.
Wow.
I know that the teaching press is doing more like digital based things. Like I think they're doing proofreading on new projects, which won't be printed by our press. I am tasked to making more PCB Fox River cleanup books by EWGB alum Greg Newshaver. That's one of the books I've been putting together. Another one is Top Point, which is a nature journal, which is a project from I think over the summer and the past spring of the teaching press itself. I know there's going to be more Top Points on the way, but I won't be around to make those. But I'm the guy that is I intern to put the books together. I don't really write the words. I did do copy editing for Portrait of Youth and Courage, but I do more production-based things. Like I fold the pages on the PCB cleanup book, which, by the way, that book, we call it the Foldiati book because it folds out into a giant timeline. It covers the entire Fox River cleanup event.
Wow.
It's incredible. And so I do more of the folding and the binding and the page cutting. And I can tell if a book is like binded or not now. Like I go to the Barnes and Noble. One of the things I do whenever I debate should I get this fancy book or not, I look at the binding. Is it done well? Is that copy pristine? And if it is, then I automatically buy it. If I don't, then I leave it on the shelf. I walk around the store for maybe 10 minutes and then I buy it because I love books. I never really said no to buying a book unless it's like I look at my bank account and it's like -$80 or something. I never got that bad, but like, it feels like it sometimes. So that's the teaching press for you. I really appreciated the opportunities, and we're moving to the theater hall, so hopefully we'll be a lot more centered for English and writing majors who want to be a part of that. I keep pitching it to folks who want to take on the mantle. Right now, I'm the production intern, so a lot of people like to do the other side of things, like the outreach intern and the director internship. I think that's one of them, or a social media intern as well, which that's a good way too. But I mean, come on, you get to cut books. We have a machine called Guillotine, for Christ's sake. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, teaching press.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's cool to see you involved with the teaching press and just doing all the stuff you're doing. Speaking of books and your love for books, you brought some books with you. Like, do you have anything you happen to want to read?
Yes, actually. So I've written something. This is actually something I will be sharing in a couple days. So you might get a little bored at the celebration of thought and beauty when I read this. But I read a short fiction piece. It is roughly 13 pages, but I will only read the beneficial 4 that I thought went really deep. You can hear the paper. That's a good aesthetic. Oh, yeah. I hope you keep that in post. Yep. So the premise, just to get people in the context, I won't over-explain it because that's how authors often ruin their writing. They over-explain it. So pretty much, this is a dystopian that I wrote. And the premise, the thing that makes this a dystopian is, what if all people were registered as chain codes instead of names? What if there were no names left? All brands, they were just chain codes. as an act of equality. I have yet to really buff out the kinks of what made this world this way. What kind of senator or presidential campaign would take away our names, right? So, we have a main character. He works at a farm, and he pretty much checks in on the people that might be at risk for using their actual name. We're at this like awkward interstage of like people still were born with names before this law was passed, but they're forced to get rid of them. So we're in that part of the world. We have the main character who is he is very much a rule follower. He does things by the book. And then we got his co-worker who's the exact opposite. So without further ado, we are going to start right in the middle of this. So I approached the hallway once more, overhearing the exasperated groans of 86 as I grow closer. I round the corner to see him face down on his keyboard. He rolls his head to me in shock as he realizes that I have been standing silently over him for a couple of minutes. Silently, I click the singular button on the tiny bug. Oh, hey, it's what a surprise! He fixes his posture and turns his chair to face me. To what do I owe the pleasure? I was stuck with the receptionist for a moment and realized if I were stuck to be logging hours, I would at least earn something with them, even if it meant picking up after your failures. I spewed the lie that took 13 floors to construct. Let's fix your situation. I pulled up his records, which were all done surprisingly up to standard. 86 was not terrible when it came to attention to detail. He had garnered lists of people from all over town, ensuring they were living up to the nation protocol. 86 had only one major flaw: motivation, which played into his completion speed. We've reviewed our way through citizen documents, going numerically up until P-80802200 file. I have to work on the kinks of like narrating this a bit. Our quota was reached. We had 0 anomalies the entire evening. 86 took a massive breath of fresh air before turning back my way. The first noise he made during the entire 2 hours together. You were working like a corpse the entire time, only you were moving like a zombie, he joked. Zombies aren't real, 86. Besides, you were abnormally silent too. Did you catch a cold? No, I just decided to respect your oh-so-special vow of silence. But since I did that, we're finally done until the morning. How about you respect my more talkative ways instead? It's only fair after you decided we go meet for an entire hour. Fine, I said, sensing the opportunity he so foolishly laid out for me. I clicked the button on the bug once more, waking it from its dormant state. Wait, really? I was expecting to be called an imbecile and to be ditched right here and now. You will be. Unless you start talking to me, I vaguely teased. And here I was thinking you might not have a stick up your arse. That's what everyone downstairs thought of you before I was brought up to this floor. A6 poked his head around the short cubicle walls, looking around, checking if any android or living workers were present to poke in. Looks like the place is ours if we want to stay here. Here's good, I respond. Great. So what's your name, pal? P-388. I start before he cut me off. Your actual name, for Pete's sake. For example, my name is Kevin. My family calls me Kev for short. It is illegal to have a personal name, 86. To hell with those laws, pal. Kev waved his arms around in a slight fury. I was born with this name. I'm sure as hell am going to keep it. It's all I have left from my parents now. Remember your parents' 8s? Surely they would want you to keep yours. Hell's is confusing enough to everybody. Going by these digitalized names, should have said hell nah on the bill when we had the chance. Am I right? I looked him dead in his steady eyes. Kevin trusted me. I must secure the objective, even if it means breaking one law to account for the plenty that this whelp has broken behind a firm's back. I hesitate for the first moment in a long time before finally satisfying my reckless colleague, Adrian. My name was Adrian. Adrian, see, you look like Adrian, with your skinny arms and shaved head. I'll bet you ran for track in high school. Kev let out another one of his familiar deep laughs. Damn our people and their desire for perfection. I'm fairly sure they should wipe themselves off before they wipe us off our colorful personalities. But me, I will not yield. And neither should you. I shot him a nasty look. Who was this bloke to tell me what I should and should not do? We were unfortunately equals, and he had no power to command me. Adrian, do you have a family? Stop calling me that. My name is P-3886-0788. You must call me 88. I had to ensure the reviewers of the voice recording that I had not gone AWOL. Though, hearing my name, my real name, it felt homely. Fine, Eights. Do you have a family? No spouse, no offspring, I responded, snapping back to reality. Yikes, the guys downstairs were right. You really are like one of them. Kevin jerked his head around towards cubicle 87, home to our copy editor, who was made of steel. Well, if you don't have much to share, I guess I will. I have a beautiful wife. Her name is Kathleen, and 2 kids. Oh, and our dog Roscoe. Kev pulled out his tablet and swiped through pictures of himself with a pretty blonde woman in red, who was holding a smiling pug. I nodded to inform him that I understood. Seeing all those people in the image, their bright smiles and warm embraces, it reminded me of a time when I wasn't so goal-oriented. I thought of my own childhood home up north in the woods of wheat. I recalled my cozy navy bed I used to sleep in, the creaks it would make at any subtle movement I made. 86 then pulled away the photo and returned the tablet to his bag. He rose from his chair and offered his hand. Wow, it was great finally getting to know who you really were. Eights. You may not want to believe this, but I can still see the humanity in your eyes. Plenty of it. I hope you find it one day. And with that, he pulled his long, bright coat over himself and left the cubicle. His statement left me speechless. Was I not a man? What am I then? And that's what I got.
That's awesome. That's a good start. You still have a lot more left you're gonna read, and you're gonna be performing this at Thought and Beauty Fest.
Whole
Friday,
thing. Thought and Beauty. Yep.
So there's
all
a sneak
13
peek.
pages.
Stay tuned. Listen to more.
That's like the juicy details in the middle, but yes.
Yeah.
I hope to kind of like work on it a little bit more, though. The thing about writing is it's never finished. There's always the better way, according to the author. Of course, people that read our stories, they always say, "Oh yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect. Straight to the printer." And sure, it might be perfect to them, but to us, it's never done. There's always something we could do.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
That's awesome. So what else kind of other stuff are you working on as far as writing goes?
Well, I have a creative essay about the value in used books that I have just concocted the beginning of. I'm working on the thesis for that. I feel like people should really hear me out on this. I think used books are amazing. They are almost like, dare I say, like a passport of where books have been. Books that are used have stories behind them on their own. Sure, they carry a story, but they also can bring a story. The people that owned them before you, oh my goodness. So sometimes they write the silliest things. In this book, Annie Dillard's For the Time Being, it's something that we're currently reading for our capstone class. There is a note personalized. I will not read it for the whole, I respect the people in this, but they talk about the story, and I mean it's all about the history in the past, and that's exactly what the whole premise of my essay is going to be about. It's going to be about the value in like seeing how other people perceive the books I'm now reading, and the value in annotating as well. You don't fully read something if you don't annotate it. Surely you can read something and be like, oh, that's cool. But if you annotate and write about it for a little bit and write a little note, you'll remember the effort you put into that. You'll put some critical thought on the page. And better yet, you'll offer that critical thought for other readers who will come across it in the future.
Wow.
So, used books is going to be one of my essays that I'll start working on as soon as I get my bachelor's degree. So
awesome. Yeah. So, like we were talking too about like some upcoming events.
Yes.
So things you want to like promote as far as anything coming up.
Sure. I'll promote a couple.
Okay.
So there's a celebration of thought and beauty. The stage is set to start at 6:00 p.m. on Friday, April 12th. So that'll be in the University Union, Phoenix Rooms A and B. It's hard to miss, right next to the coffee house that everyone so loves. So that's coming up this Friday.
Open to anyone to come join.
That's
Still
right.
some performances, open mic night afterwards too. So
yes.
Come check that out.
We'll have like an hour worth of open mic. I think that's what I calculated.
Okay.
Just earlier today. So that'll be fun to take care of. There's the music festival, which we talked about earlier. There'll be a lot of people there. I think Digital Hubcap's going to be there. So that'll be fun. And something for my Center for Games Interactive Media internship. We do board game nights every other week. And we're having our last one on the campus next Tuesday, which will be April 16th from 5 to 6. We do board game nights to remind everyone, hey, board games exist. And they're fun. They're a lot of fun, actually. And there's our most popular one is technically not a board game. It's Jackbox games. So for those of us who are not familiar, I'd be surprised. But I mean, there's some old timers that never heard of a Jackbox games. So I will do my best to explain it. Jackbox games is like a party games box, but it's digital. The only thing you need to bring is yourself and a digital device that you can log in on. And you can go as any name on this thing, and you can enter. I know that the most popular mini games people like to frequent are things like, I want to say, the TKO, which is a t-shirt mini game where you design the t-shirt, best t-shirt wins. And there's another one where it's Quiplash, and you pretty much do a fill in the blanks, Cards Against Humanity style, face off against another person. And I think it allows like 8 players maximum, and then everyone else can just vote on who's the funniest guy or funniest player. So that's what we have going on next Tuesday. We're gonna have, I hope, a good turnout, but just in case, I'm mentioning it here. So
yeah, what kind of games are you guys featuring? Will you be playing that night?
So our board game night will primarily have Jackbox games.
Okay.
This time that's our most popular one.
Do you have any like specific pack that you guys are looking forward to play?
That'll be Professor Williams' choice. That'll be his. Excuse me. So yeah, the way we kind of typically do that is we have him bring his laptop in, and he just plays. I think it's almost always 6 or 7.
Okay.
Good ones.
Yeah.
So. And
that's right here in
yes.
The Union?
That'll be in the University Union, the Phoenix Club.
Phoenix Club, yeah.
And we'll do it from 5 to 6.
5
Maybe
to
a little after 6, because we're gonna have so much fun. We'll probably forget how to like stop playing for a while.
Yeah, I mean, Jackbox is fun. Like party games, it incorporates a lot of stuff like from board games and just board games in general. Just it's like collaboration between just a bunch of people.
Yes.
They like all have input and like That's just like something fun about like party games. Just like a lot of people getting together and just having fun. Each have an input, where it all contributes to one goal.
For sure.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but it's gonna be a little bittersweet. It'll be my last board game night ever. I can always come back to campus and play another one, but
yeah,
I don't know if they're gonna do it next semester yet. I don't know the interns yet. I think we're still on like the hiring process for that. Not hiring, but selection process. Okay. We don't get paid as interns up here as much as we want to be. We get paid in course credits. That's our payment.
Yeah.
I actually was a bit of an overachiever, and I went above and beyond and took both the teaching press and the CGIM. So I have more intern credits that I need, but I am glad to have other good opportunities on our Green Bay campus.
Yeah.
Especially with campus that's so sheltered by the outside world with trees kind of blocking us off from there. We're not really a campus that people can walk onto per se, but we have cars. That's our fix. When everyone has a car, and I'll do there. So, tangent aside, come to Game Jam because we would love to see you there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you'd like to share and promote that you're working on that you have coming up as you graduate?
Look out for me on LinkedIn. That's my main little thing moving forward. My name is Zane Petrie. I do writing. I do copy editing, proofreading. I also do leadership and management. I didn't really talk about it much because it's kind of at the back of my mind right now, but I am one of the resident mentors for the campus of Green Bay. So I'm technically a community leader and all that pizzazz as well. It's a crazy job, but sometimes I get the best out of it by not talking about it, and it's just something I do. So
yeah.
But yeah, find me on LinkedIn if you're interested in connecting. There's also, gosh, I don't really use social media that much anymore. So yeah, anything with the name Zane Petrie on it that looks like a really cool guy with the curliest hair ever. Well, actually, no, I'm rivaled by your hair, Joe. Yeah, I think you have curlier hair than I do. So
both have curly hair.
Second curliest. That's me. I have more wave, I think. But yeah, if there's a smiling guy with wavy curly hair in a red shirt in the profile, that's me. And I am going to be overjoyed if you would like to connect in any way. I do a lot of creative writing, but I'm hoping to get my kickoff of a career in proofreading and copy editing for a professional company for a little while, just to kind of get a good foot in the door of, I can do this. I was told by my peers I can do this, and I can do this.
Yeah, so. For sure. We'll have this video up on YouTube for your views if people didn't catch it. And we'll put your link tree in the description below so people can check that out too.
All right.
Yeah.
I would love that. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to say thank you for having us on join the show tonight.
Yeah.
And just thank everyone for joining on, listening for us just talk for a while about a bunch of different things. And check out this guy's work and all the stuff coming up too that he'll be involved in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're just involved in so many things too. I mean, you mentioned that you're resident mentor. You work for the union.
That's right.
Double major. I mean, you're a busy dude. Almost coming to the end of it.
I joked at
ready to celebrate.
Yeah, I joked at an English social that I sold my soul, and I'm pretty sure I told the truth, and that wasn't a joke at that point. But everyone laughed, so I'm hoping. I didn't, but.
Are you a comedian too?
I guess I am. I'll leave that to Jacob.
Yeah.
He's funnier than I am. But yeah. And one last thing, remember to read. It's good for you. And write.
For sure.
All right.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. Coming up next month, we'll have another Joe show with Sin and the Saint. They weren't able to make it this month, but they'll be here next month. And then check this video on YouTube. Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe. We need some more people, hopefully some more videos coming up for my show and other shows on the video on our YouTube soon. Now, the show is over.